Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're going to totally bypass all the confusing administrative fluff and focus on one single high-stakes goal. We are going to build a flawless request for payment, or RFP. By the time we're done here, you're going to have the exact cheat code to ensure your reimbursement never, ever gets bounced back.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Because before we even start talking about paperwork, we have to talk about the ticking clock. Think of it in 3 phases. There's the before the event phase for your budget approval, the event itself where you're grabbing all your evidence, and then this extremely critical 7-day window. Now, assuming you're safely within that 7-day window, you really need to understand the formatting boundaries. The golden rule here is incredibly strict, but honestly, it's super simple. 1 email, 1 single PDF file. You absolutely cannot send some chaotic folder stuffed with 20 loose JPEG images and a random Word document. No way. Every single piece of documentation must be combined, compressed, and saved into 1 single PDF that clocks in at under 10 megabytes.
So what goes into that PDF? Consider this 7-page stack, your visual roadmap for our time together today. Every successful submission follows this exact sequential structure. It goes the RFP form, the cover note, the attendees list, photographs, receipts, the acknowledgement form, and lastly, delegation receipts. Following this exact order isn't just a polite suggestion, it's literally the secret to 0 rejections. Let's break down each layer of this stack, starting from the top.
It all kicks off with page 1, the RFP form itself. And guys, this page demands flawless execution. First off, your payee name must perfectly match your bank records in EduRec, and you've got to explicitly include your matriculation number. Second, input the exact transaction amount. No rounding up or down, none of that. Finally, the purpose of payment has to be highly specific. Don't just vaguely write event. Write exactly what it was, like mentoring activity for mentees. Specificity prevents delays, for sure.
Moving right along to page 2, we hit the cover note. This one's completed by student leaders, and it requires some simple but absolutely crucial math. You have to break down the total cost. The strict rule here is that the breakdown of individual costs, say that $30 you spent at McDonald's, must add up to exactly the total claimable amount you listed at the top. If your math is off by even a single cent, yep, the whole stack gets sent right back to you.
Next up is page 3, the attendees list. This just needs to be a simple, highly accurate record of who actually showed up to your event. Format it clearly, serial number, the person's name, and their block. Now, you might be wondering, why is this list so heavily scrutinized? Well, it's because this exact headcount is going to be strictly cross-referenced in the very next step. If you list 3 people here, you are making a hard legal declaration that exactly 3 people attended.
And that brings us perfectly to page 4, the photographic audit rule. Remember those 3 people you just listed? Your event photographs must clearly show all of them. The total number of people in the photo has to perfectly equal the number of attendees you claimed. But wait, what if you were the one taking the photos so you aren't actually in it? Don't worry, there's an exception rule. If someone is missing from the shot, like the photographer, you just add a quick text note below the image in your report stating exactly who is missing and why.
Okay, deep breath, because page 5 is where things usually get a bit complex: receipts and invoices. Let's establish a firm baseline right now. For any original document to be considered a valid receipt, it absolutely must display these 5 core data points: the merchant's name, the transaction date, the amount paid, a description of the purchased items, and the payment mode. If even just one of these 5 elements is missing, the receipt is considered invalid.
Now, since we literally buy everything online these days, let's drill into specific platforms, starting with Shopee. If you're claiming a Shopee purchase, standard order screenshots from your phone are not going to cut it. You must download the official e-invoice via a web browser, and you've got to do this within 30 days of purchase. Plus, try to send purchases to an SPX locker to avoid delivery fees. If an item is just too big for a locker, you're required to attach an additional screenshot explicitly justifying that no free delivery charge.
Now, what's really interesting about this next pitfall is how common it is. It's the Grab app screenshot trap. Screenshots taken directly from inside the Grab app are instantly rejected. Never use them. Instead, you absolutely must attach the official itemized receipt that Grab automatically sends to your registered email address. That email receipt contains all 5 of those required core data points, completely avoiding the ambiguity of a quick app screen grab.
Then there's Taobao. These claims are notoriously tricky because they involve cross-border currency conversion. To demystify this, you need to provide really comprehensive proof. You can't just show your shopping cart.
You must provide the full transaction details showing the exact item breakdown, the shipping costs, and, most importantly, you have to explicitly tie all of that to the final Singapore dollar equivalent that was actually deducted from your bank account. You've got to connect the dots for the finance team.
But hey, what happens if you get a physical receipt and is just simply missing one of those 5 core details we talked about, especially the payment mode? Don't panic. We have a tactical solution for this. The payment-proof failsafe. If your primary receipt is incomplete, you just take a screenshot of your bank app or your Pay Now transaction history. This secondary proof just needs to show the exact matching amount and the exact date to supplement that incomplete receipt.
Sometimes, though, you aren't dealing with receipts at all. You're dealing with invoices. So it's absolutely crucial to understand the difference between paid and unpaid invoices. A paid invoice is beautifully simple. It explicitly shows a zero outstanding balance, meaning it's totally ready to claim.
But an unpaid invoice, that demands absolute precision. For the university to pay a vendor directly, the invoice must explicitly state the billed to party as the National University of Singapore. It can't just be billed to your name or your student group's nickname. No way. Furthermore, the company name, invoice number, date, payment terms, and quantities, they absolutely must perfectly match your initial quotation. If they don't align, the whole process just stops dead in its tracks.
As we near the bottom of our stack, we arrive at page 6, the acknowledgement form. Now, this is only necessary if your event involved giving away physical prizes, running a lucky draw, or handing out tokens of appreciation. If you handed out physical items, you must mathematically prove those items were actually received by the attendees. You have to download the official template directly from NUS Sync, and every single recipient must sign off with their name, the last 4 characters of their NREC, and their NUS email. And finally, we finish the 7-page stack build with page 7, Delegated Payments. This covers that incredibly common "I paid for you" scenario. If a receipt is printed in a name that isn't the claimant's, you have to legally handle this transfer of funds. You do this by providing an official email declaration of delegation. So for example, Ben sends an email stating, "I, Ben, paid for the item and Jasmine has reimbursed me. Please reimburse Jasmine instead." It just creates a clear, auditable paper trail.
And hey, before hitting submit,
You got to save your file using exactly this format.
for resident assistance, use your full name, block number, the event name, and the exact amount. If you're a peer mentor, you just swap out that block number for your specific PCT.
For subcommittees, you'll use your full name, your IG name, event name, and the amount.
Or if you're FOC, just drop that abbreviation in.
So, you've built the perfect stack. Now, let's shift our focus to the defensive game. You really want to avoid the 4 major processing delays that will instantly halt your reimbursement. Number 1, time kills, missing that strict 7-day window. Number 2, insufficient data. Things like mismatched photos or missing matriculation numbers. Number 3, cash vouchers. Listen closely to this one. Cash vouchers are strictly not claimable. Only net out-of-pocket amounts get reimbursed. And number 4, incomplete receipts that lack payment proof.
Actually, speaking of receipts, let's look at the actual physical errors that can cause an instant rejection. Only original, perfectly legible receipts are processed. If you submit a receipt where the ink is heavily faded and unreadable, rejected. If you submit a duplicate or a recalled receipt instead of the final merchant copy, rejected. And here's a surprisingly common one. If you take a photo of a receipt and your fingers are visibly covering the text or important numbers, it will be immediately rejected.
All right, we are literally at the finish line, but there is one final, crucial administrative chore you cannot forget. Even if your 7-page stack is a literal masterpiece, the finance team cannot physically send you the money if your personal credit bank account details aren't actually updated and active in EduRec. So before you even hit send on that 10-megabyte PDF email, log into EduRec, navigate to Campus Finances, and just double-check that your account details are correct.
Oh, and this brings us to an incredibly important deadline you absolutely must burn into your memory. Pay close attention here. Because of the financial year-end closing on the 31st of March, all claims for Semester 2 absolutely must be submitted by the first week of March. Let me repeat that. First week of March. Late submissions for this period simply will not be accepted.
Now, of course, events can be totally chaotic, and occasionally you might encounter a bizarre edge case. For any further clarification that we didn't cover here, make absolutely sure to reach out to the Pioneer Housemaster's office immediately before you submit. You've already done the hard work of running an awesome event for your community.
You now have the exact tactical blueprint to get reimbursed fast. So the only question left to ask is, the next time you open up a blank email draft to file your request for payment, will your submission be perfectly approved on the very first try? I certainly think it will be. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and good luck with your next event.